Ready to go.
Alrighty. Call to order. Welcome to the June 3rd meeting of the Troutdale Citizens Advisory Committee. Dakota, can we have roll call, please?
Of course. Committee member Castillo-White.
Present.
Chair Kester.
Here.
Committee member Minkoff. Committee member Long.
Here.
Committee member Rizzo.
Here.
Committee member Terrell. Committee member Barney.
Hello.
Vice Chair Stephenson.
Here.
Committee member Knight.
Yes, present.
And then both Twyla and Rebecca were excused.
So we do have quorum.
You have quorum.
Good. All right, and with that, I will invite those who are able to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Chris Barney will.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. With that, go to public comment on non-agenda items. We'll start on Zoom. And actually, you did notice that, or see that Kevin joined us?
Yep.
Got that in. All right. Anyone on Zoom wish to address the CAC on a non-agenda item? Hearing none. Anything in the room? Shaking heads, so we'll move on to agenda item 3, discussion items. First discussion item on the list is our annual appointment of our TCAB representative from the CAC. I believe historically, Victoria, that has been you.
I'd like to nominate Victoria for that position to maintain the continuity of the experience and bring it back to CAC.
I was second.
We have a motion. We have a nomination and a second. Do we have any other nominations for that CAC TCAB position? Hearing none, we'll close nominations, and with just the single nominations, we'll do a up or down vote. All those in favor of Victoria Rizzo continuing in the role as CAC TCAB representative signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Victoria.
I'm here.
Next thing on the list, an update with Multnomah County on the Stark Street Bridge replacement effort. Welcome.
How are you all?
I'll pull up the sides.
Thank you.
Name for the recording and minutes and
Yeah,
dive into it.
all right. Thank you all for having me tonight. I am Ryan Rucker. I am one of the engineers with Multnomah County's Bridge Shop. We manage the bridges all throughout the county, many of them here in East County, and then our Willamette River bridges in the main downtown area. So here today to talk about the Stark Street Bridge Replacement Project. I'm going to kind of walk through some of the goals, where we're at, the timeline for this project in its current state, and then at the end go through some Q&A. And then I have some updates for Diane. She was at our meeting last week, and she brought up a great comment, and it might be coming to reality. So with that, next slide, please. All right, so the purpose and need of the project, we really want to put a lot of value into this historic structure. This bridge was constructed in 1914, over 100 years old now, so it's well beyond its service life. It currently doesn't meet any of the design standards to accommodate today's traffic. It also doesn't provide the load carrying requirements. It was built before a lot of these design changes to our current code standards. And the project intends to build a resilient crossing over Sandy River that's structurally sound, has low maintenance, and is safe for all users. As I'm sure people are aware, there's a lot of accidents on this bridge. It has been struck in recent years, and we intend to build something that can be resilient when that Cascadia subduction zone earthquake happens. Next slide. Okay, so the historic resource review. So we understand the historic value of the bridge. Obviously, over 100 years old. We want to speak to the resources that it speaks to in previous years. It is a contributing resource to the historic Columbia River Highway District. It is likely to have some form of standings due to its age and integrity and its significance to the local community. We're also looking into how that may impact the standing of the bridge with the adjacent properties. So I know the Sandy River Gardens and Restaurant is where the Portland Automobile Club used to be. And because of the significance of that property, that was where early users of the historic Columbia River Highway and Bridge would go to drive their vehicles, get together and meet up. So looking at that historical significance with the bridge and these properties adjacent is very much at the forefront of this project's mind with the county. And as part of this current phase, we're also exploring options to preserve the existing bridge. So we're looking at options of that being used for a pedestrian and bicyclist structure, or possibly using that structure somewhere else in the county. We've done this on previous accounts. Portions of the old Burnside Bridge are used here on the East County for another location. So trying to preserve that structure in the existing bridge in some form or manner. And next slide. Okay, so kind of going over the current schedule. So in the fall of last year is when we kind of started this initiative. That's where we kicked off here in the county, looking at an alternative to build this bridge. This was the start of the environmental review phase. So that started initiating some actions like right-of-way, geotechnical investigations, survey, things like that, to gather as much information about the bridge and around the bridge. And this started discussions with local, state, and federal agencies. So looking at funding options, coming to folks like you all to give updates on the bridge and starting that community outreach. Here in the spring, we're starting to collect a lot of feedback. So in some slides coming up, we have a current survey that's live, and that's intended to serve as feedback to us here at the county on what the local community would want this bridge to be, how they use the bridge, and what they want for the local community here moving forward. We'll also look at developing a range of alternatives. So this will range from a no build all the way to different various structures of this new bridge. We'll develop draft evaluation criteria. This will come from us at the county as well as from folks in the community. In the summer of this year, we plan to share a short list of range of alternatives, share that evaluation criteria, and start to collect community input through this survey. In the fall, we will bring that preferred alternative. So the preferred alternative is what we use in our projects. After we get a list of different alternatives, we will identify one that serves the best purpose and need for the project. And then in 2027, we will select that preferred alternative, complete the environmental review phase, and then the next steps, as you see there in the blue, pending funding, we will move into the design phase and then hopefully the construction phase thereafter that. Any questions thus far? Okay. Next slide. So this is really just to give some context to the Stark Street Bridge. I'm sure everyone here is familiar with this, with the historic Columbia River Highway, but essentially there's two crossings in this stretch of road. That is the Sandy River crossing, which is annotated by that little yellow balloon up near Highway 84, and then the Stark Street Bridge crossing. And this really, what we really want to highlight here is that in this entire region, for these folks that use this for commuting, for schools, for emergency responders, there's only two crossings, and both of those crossings are extremely deficient right now. So we want to proceed and move forward with providing a safe and resilient structure for you all in this community. Next slide. So kind of the project background of the existing structure. This slide really highlights a lot of the concerns over this existing structure. So every 2 years, we at the county have ODOT inspect our bridges. And when they do those inspections, they apply a rating, and that's based off of structural integrity, serviceability, and the essentiality of use for the local community members. When they give this rating 0 to 100, anything below 50 is considered deficient, and they recommend that it be replaced now. As you can see right now, this bridge is well below that mark, and this is just due to the fact of its age and slow deterioration over those years. It is weight and turn restricted, like I mentioned, so recently, I'm sure you guys have all seen the bridge has been closed because we've had pretty large collisions on that north side of the bridge with that wing wall. It's very restricted at that point, even on the bridge. Sometimes you can't fit two large regular, trucks going back and forth. Buses have to queue if someone's on the bridge to be able to use it. Just substandard geometry. Currently, the lanes are constructed at 9 feet wide, which is 2 feet below the minimum standard that we use today for roadways. So it's very constrictive on the structure itself. It also has a deteriorating wooden sidewalk. This was built after the fact. It has been maintained by the county, but it is slowly deteriorating and falling apart. The last piece, it's very vulnerable to scour and earthquakes. So because the substructure that you see in the picture there, it sits in the riverway. As the water moves around these structures, it will continue to pull sediment and material out from around the foundation, which is very hazardous for a bridge structure because it'll essentially not have anything to sit or bear the weight on. It's also very vulnerable to earthquakes. This was built on wooden piles that sit deep down in the soil. Our assumption is that those wooden piles, being over 100 years old, have probably rotted, have probably deteriorated, and in an earthquake, that movement, those would probably fail. Next slide. Like I mentioned, the substandard geometry, so the picture on your right there, that shows the collision that happened last October. A large semi-tractor trailer truck tried to turn onto the bridge coming east on the historic Columbia River Highway. It struck that north wing wall, pulled that concrete structure off, and also peeled back some of the railing there. And it just highlights how restrictive that, that north intersection is. We've had 36 recorded accidents since 2017. It could probably be a lot higher. As you can see in that picture on the left, people have to pull really close to that historic Columbia River Highway lane to be able to even see left or right if they're making a turn off the bridge. And then, if you're turning from the highway onto the bridge, it's already tight. It's going to be extremely tight for trucks. As we heard during the Historic Landmark Commission meeting last week, Even people in regular cars and trucks have a hard time making those turns when people are queued on the bridge there. The emergency repair project. So 2 years ago, in 2024, we had a failure of the north wing wall. So that's the picture that you see there at the bottom left. That was constructed using dry stacked stones. Essentially, they take large river cobbles, they pack mud and other material in between, and hope that it sticks together. That hope didn't last very long. That structure fell apart. We did some investigation and determined that it wasn't constructed appropriately. So trying to ensure that we have a safe structure for the folks to use here in the community, we ripped out that entire wing wall and replaced it with a new concrete slab that you see there on the bottom right. And then, so the bridge was closed for roughly 6 months. Just recently, last October, we had that truck hit the bridge as well, which closed the bridge intermittently over, I would say, the last 6 months. We just finished the repairs last Thursday. And then before you go to the next slide, so I know during the last meeting, there was some discussion about what are we going to do to make this intersection safer until we have a new structure or do something about the restrictions on the turns. So 2 days ago, we had another vehicle collide with that wing wall. Thankfully, it didn't do any structural damage. It looks like they just kind of bumped the wall. Because it happened so close after us fixing the bridge and getting it back open, we have started an initiative. We have pushed it out to some folks at the higher management within the county, and we're looking to install cameras there at the north side of the bridge so that we can identify who's using the bridge, when and where it gets struck, so that we can make a case for possibly putting further restrictions on the use of that bridge to prevent these larger trucks and vehicles from using that turn from the highway. All right, public involvement plan and community engagement. So, you know, the county values getting community input. We've done this on all of our projects. We want to inform how this bridge is designed. We also want the community to inform us. At the end of the day, we serve you all, so we want to ensure that no matter what the structure is, that it meets your guys' desire and input. We're going to take all the opportunities we can throughout the planning phase, so not just during the environmental phase, but we'll do it through design as well, to get as much input and take as much opportunity as we can to come out and meet with you all and other different committees and folks throughout the region. We also learned through the outreach process. So through the repair project, we did a lot of outreach to school districts, first responders, Corbett residents, to see when would be the best time for us to close the bridge, because we don't want to affect commute times. The school district, we didn't want to affect buses going to school and then buses returning those students back home. So we really take this very seriously, and we want to ensure that we get that feedback during these planning phases of the project. Next slide.
Oops, sorry. Oh, went too far. There we go.
Was there one? I thought there was.
Oh, I did. Yep, I went too
Okay,
far.
yes.
Sorry.
So like I mentioned at the beginning of my slideshow, we're looking to get everyone's feedback on this project. We have a survey that's live now. It'll be live through the end of June. You can go to starkstreetbridge.org. There will be a link, as you see over here on the right, that'll take you to the survey. Right now, very generic questions, but it's really focused around who in the community uses the bridge, how you use it, and what you would like to see for this crossing in the future. And then hopefully in late summer, fall, we can start up a new survey that'll be more focused around the engineering and technical aspects. How would you like the bridge to look? What kind of aspects of the bridge, type, size, those types of things. would you like to see as we move into the design phase? All right, next slide. Funding opportunities for design and construction. So recently we reached out for congressional appropriation in the state to get funds for the design phase. We've also completed grants through the US DOT Build Grants and the Bridge Investment Program grants. Our hope is that the US DOT Build Grant would supply funds that we would need to get us through the design phase. We should hear back sometime in June, we're thinking late June, on whether or not we get the Build Grant funds. The Bridge Investment Funds, we are submitting that later this month in the hopes that we would get enough funds to cover the construction phase. If we do not, we have other avenues of going out and seeking plus-up funds. If say we only get 80% of the funds that are needed, we could go through other avenues to kind of plus us up and get us over the mark that we would need to get us through construction. Currently, we're estimating right now that the project would cost roughly $35 million and take 2 to 3 years to construct. So yeah, that's all that I have to share. Again, if you would like to complete the survey, starkstreetbridge.org at the bottom of the slide is where you can go to complete that. And I guess I will open it up to questions.
Questions from the committee?
Okay.
Yes.
Nobody else said that. Okay, I have new questions, okay.
Yes.
I forgot, who does the bridge currently belong to? Which county?
Stark Street Bridge,
Yes,
that belongs to Multnomah County.
that's, okay.
Yes.
Troutdale Bridge,
The Sandy River crossing belongs to ODOT.
okay.
And I did just get an email on my way over here. One of my co-engineers at the bridge shop has reached out to ODOT regarding the questions of the recent incident that impacted the east railing that I think you brought up last meeting, correct? Yeah, so hopefully we can get some information to you here soon.
Okay, another question is there on the list of potential decisions, is there a possibility of making a larger identical version of current bridge?
Yes, I think that would be an option. Currently right now, we're looking at options that would put the superstructure, so that pony truss system, at the bottom of the deck. But I think that's gonna, those alternatives will come from the input that we get from you all. So if we hear that we would like to see a new bridge, but in the form of the bridge that's currently there, I think we would be open to that opportunity.
Okay, then also is the cooperation of the property west of the river affect the potential keeping of the existing bridge? So you're talking about possibly building another one, having that one be possibly bike and ped oriented. Is that the main factor that might affect that?
Yes, because currently right now we only have enough right-of-way for one bridge. So it would take some negotiation and come to terms between two parties to agree on if that would be feasible. Our hope is that we could get that property owner on board to support something of that nature where we could fit both structures there and use that as something more of like recreation and leisure. So people that want to walk across the river or bike across, they could use that structure, but that is a lynch point there of if he doesn't want to give up that property, then it goes into legal matters, which get very messy, and we try to stay away from that, especially with right-of-way. We try to come to terms before we have to, start using some of the, and I can't think of the term right now.
You want to go into eminent domain territory?
Yes, thank you. Yep, that is it. Yes, yeah.
And then if you did have both bridges then are you also anticipating improvements upon Stark Street for pedestrians or bikes leading up to that, the use of, if there was two bridges?
So are you stating like expanding off the edge of the roadway to provide sidewalks or
Yeah,
bike
so
lanes?
just sparkling something, because I didn't understand how like two would work unless there was improvements for bikes or walking, because that's kind of a, there's blind spots on that
Yes.
measure.
I think that would be the hope. I don't know if there's anything in discussion right now. I know near the Troutdale Road culvert, that's just west of the bridge when you go along Stark Street. I know that our planning division has proposed some additions to adding sidewalks and bike lanes to that road, because it's very constrictive on that culvert bridge right now. So a lot of bikes and pedestrians have to get onto the roadway and then get back onto the sidewalk when they leave the bridge. So I think that's something that we can definitely look at and propose, and maybe give it to our planning division to bring it up for future projects.
That's all I have.
Shelby?
Shelby, so don't, having structures in the water, isn't that what the I-84 bridge has, structures in the water? So you're proposing that you guys wouldn't have anything in the waterways, is that?
I think that would be the best case, if we can stay out of the water and span from one side to the other. But I think I wouldn't be the one to determine that. That would have to come through our consultant and what's feasible with the design. I just know right now with the existing structure, with how it was constructed in 1914, sitting in that waterway the way that it is very vulnerable to earthquakes. Now, for instance, on EQRB, that was one of the other major projects that we were doing in the downtown area. We had those piers in the water, but there were significant design assumptions and appropriations put to that design to ensure that even though it was in the waterway, that it could resist those earthquake forces. Yeah.
What about also in the meantime, potentially putting a flashing light at the end of this Stark Street Bridge because of traffic accidents and visibilities? I don't know if that...
Yeah, so that's been brought up to ODOT in the past. The reason why that's never come to fruition is because of the historic, because it's in a historic scenic area. ODOT has been very hesitant to put any stop signs or lights near the bridge because they want to keep that flow of people driving through that historic area. It's just been something that's never come, or they haven't approved it thus yet. We did bring it up after this last collision with that semi-tractor trailer, and they were still hesitant then. But I think it's something that we can continue to have the discussion, especially if we continue to have collisions at the bridge, that we may want to do something to restrict speeds and kind of slow people down when they're at that confined space.
Because I think they come really stinking fast on the highway.
Yeah, so this is something, so this is something I shared with Diane's group last week. Recently, as part of this project, we had to do a traffic analysis, doing traffic counts to see if the new bridge would warrant a left turn coming off the north side of the bridge there. And while I was sitting off the side of the road, I saw people whizzing by well over the speed limit, and I probably saw almost the potential of probably about 15 accidents while I was there for just 3 hours. And it was mainly due to people at heightened speeds on the historic Columbia River Highway, and those folks coming off the bridge would have to creep well past that stop line to be able to see who's coming. And it caused a lot of potential to, for there to be something there that wouldn't end well. So
In the future with the design, do you potentially think you're going to be restricting people coming off, turning left off that bridge?
No, it would have the same road layout that it has now. It would just have more space. It would be more open to the users of the roadway. Right now, we're kind of restrictive to the width of that roadway because of the width of the bridge and also the width of the highway. So everything's just confined because of what's there now. Our hope is that with the new bridge, with it being wider, we can bring that approach off the north end out a little more so that it provides more sight distance down the highway, if you're turning left or right.
Okay, and then also you would be able, trucks would be able to go across and make that right turn.
Yes, yeah. We're not trying to promote that, but it's inevitable that people are going to find the easiest route that they're going to take to get from point A to point B. And if that means that trucks start to use the bridge more, well, hopefully with a wider bridge, there won't be collisions on the bridge. But our hope is not to promote truck use. It's really for the safety and security of you all when you're driving home on the bridge.
There are businesses out there and
Yes,
they
yeah.
need to be able to use the bridge. So.
And yeah, we learned, I think our assumption early on was that a lot of the large trucks that use the bridge were the farmers or people out in East County. And we learned last week that I guess there's a lot of Amazon trucks that use this bridge, and they might be the culprits, but whoever it is, we just want to make sure that it's safe and secure for all people, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes?
I just wanted to clarify, there was that slide where you had the picture of like the underside of the bridge and you were talking about how it was susceptible to earthquakes and scour, and I wanted to clarify, what is scour?
Scour is what happens to a bridge structure. As water moves around a foundation, it moves faster around that structure. So it could be going a certain speed when it's just naturally flowing through the river, but when it meets an impediment to its movement, it's going to move faster. So because it's moving faster, it's going to slowly pull that sediment away from around the structure, which can undermine what's there in the river. You're welcome.
So if you keep the old bridge for recreation, it's going to be upgraded too, for earthquake and everything?
No, right now it would not be retrofitted. No.
Just out of curiosity, which location or which property is the former Portland Auto Club meeting spot?
That is currently where the I believe it's the Sandy River Restaurant.
Was the Riverview, it was
Yeah,
the Yoshida place.
I believe it's where the restaurant and garden. So I think it was that whole area just south of the bridge. But I can confirm that and get back to you.
I believe the auto club was where Yoshida used to live.
Yoshida Estates.
So not the restaurant, but across the street, yeah.
At the gardens. Yeah.
Anyone else? Couple questions I had. I know most of the accidents, incidents that we've had that I've ever heard of have been turns or whatever, people colliding with the bridge or with the approach. Has there been any significant number of like multi-vehicle accidents on either of those crossings, with basically people clipping each other?
That I'm not aware of. I don't know what that statistic is based off that count of 36, but that's something I can look into. I can see if we have that information, whether or not it's us or ODOT. Like, I don't know who tracks that, but I can look that up and get that back to you. Like, I don't know that off the top of my head. I just know that we have that many.
Yeah, it's the reason I ask is because I know I have seen in several other places in various parts of the country where you have very narrow legacy bridges that used to be two-lane passable structures, but get for the sake of safety and sanity, get converted into signaled one-way bridges. And I was just sort of wondering if that had ever been considered as an option.
I don't know if that was ever considered, yeah.
It doesn't fix the approach problem, the angle of approach, but I mean, as far as the width of the bridge would possibly mitigate that. And then the other kind of general comment I would want to make is while I am always going to be a proponent of historical preservation, I'm also keenly aware that that infrastructure is not immortal, and these things, all of these structures had designed service lifespans, and unfortunate reality in this country is that a disturbing number of the infrastructure that we have is well beyond its service lifetime. So I appreciate all the efforts, all the considerations that are being made to preserve both the image of the structure, possibly in the design of a new bridge, but also just pieces of the structure itself, if it can or can't be preserved in situ. So with that, I'd also open this up for public comment. If there's anybody online that wants to make comment, public comment on the topic. Most people that are online have seen this presentation through multiple iterations in various committees. I know I have, but anyone else?
I have one last one. Okay, what is the proper name? Troutdale or Sandy River Bridge?
I believe
Troutdale,
it's
Sandy River Bridge in Troutdale. Okay, when I remember living next to it, isn't the Army Corps of Engineers to add support to the parts that are in the water, they added boulders and they kind of did some rerouting of the water. Is that correct? To lessen the impact
on the structure.
Yeah, because it kind of diverted the water. So that was one thing that they used to allow more life or not to have destruction occur to the bridge. I don't see it with the images that were shown that there was much support. I know you were saying that it was old stone or it was deteriorating, and then maybe the log's not understanding what the life is or what they really look like, or if they're deteriorating itself. Have they thought of that? Because I don't see any boulder support or whatever for any diversion.
I don't think there's anything placed around the foundation currently. I know that they do place riprap. Like I know it's around some of our bridges in the downtown area. Currently with this structure, I wouldn't say that they didn't know that when they did the installation. I just don't know why there isn't anything currently there.
Okay, but I know like one of the main considerations is that if there is an earthquake, that we have at least one bridge between ours and Stark Street that will continue to provide transportation for trucks and whoever is needing this in the area. That's one of the main primary motives.
Yes.
Correct.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
I guess another thing that came to mind, I was just curious kind of what other thoughts you had regarding maybe visibility of the bridge. I guess specifically what I'm talking about is I was remembering a recent night where I have a friend that lives over across the river, and I was driving home from his house that night, and it was well after dark, and the direction I was coming from is where the bridge would be on your left side, and I completely missed the bridge because I didn't even see it, and I didn't catch it till I was past it, and I looked back and saw my other friends making a turn onto it, and I ended up using the bridge right down here by Glen Auto.
So your question is, would there be would there be additional lighting that could be placed to kind of highlight the bridge if you were on the historic Columbia River Highway?
Something like that.
Yeah, no, that's something that we can definitely look into, and I would say that would be great comments for our survey and any community feedback is if you feel like it needs something additional with this new bridge, or if there's something that we can do in the interim while this current bridge is up, we would definitely take that into account. But I'm actually gonna, I'll write that down just because that's a good comment to make. If it's not visible at night and, you know, that adds to commute for people that are going home or to another location, that'd be good to know.
I will say that I believe that's what a bunch of these accidents are, going too fast and then trying to quickly make the corner, because then it's like, oh, there's the bridge. So I think when the cameras are up, I think you're gonna discover that a whole bunch of the reasons people go fast and they can't make that corner to hit the one
We have
wall.
Paul, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Kester. I was just going to mention there is a third bridge crossing, the I-84 interstate. Gets a little narrow under the railroad bridge, but that is an alternate river crossing.
Correct. Yep.
And anything else, Paul?
Nope, that was it.
The other thing that came to mind, and as much as it might be a good idea to like post slower speeds and such on that highway, there is, that only works, I should say that's only really effective if you have a modicum of enforcement that goes with it. And I know I certainly have the perception, and I don't think it's an unshared perception, that in certain parts of the county, traffic enforcement is almost non-existent. We could try, but I'm not sure how much good it would do for large chunks of the time.
Yeah, I know in my, I can't even count the number of times that I've been out to the bridge to provide inspection or oversight during these last repairs. That rarely have I seen a law enforcement vehicle on that stretch of highway. I know when we were here to brief the city council, there was even a question about that. You know, how many officers do you have that come in this area so often? I don't think they provided a response, but I know that, you know, the community may want more. But yeah, if we do apply lower speed limits, they have to be enforced too, you know, and that's, it's this thing that you wear.
Adrian, I have a quick question. I have two. How are you guys reaching out, doing the community outreach? Like how are people finding out about this survey?
So we have a consultant that we've hired as part of this phase of work. They do a lot of that. They have points of contact within the community, different organizations, colleges, schools. It's a whole list and plethora of people that they reach out to, and they get that word out through newsletters, emails, these surveys, setting up booths and going to events whenever those occur. So we try to get the word out really any way that we can.
And then the other question I had is, this is it's a comment on the city's Facebook page when they posted about, it's from 5 days ago, but it's just a person within the city that says, or somebody on Facebook, I really wish there were more signs by the Troutdale Bridge to let us know when the Stark Street Bridge is closed. I've Googled it multiple times. Google says the bridge is open, then drive miles to find out it's closed, and I have to turn around and go back to the Troutdale Bridge. It's infuriating, and it keeps wasting my time and gas. I don't really understand why they're going past the Troutdale one to go to the Starks and then go back and forth, but irregardless, like when it's closed, how are you guys able to update Google or communicate with the people that are in charge of the Troutdale Bridge? I mean, like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I know, I'm not sure on the Google aspect of it. Like, I don't know if that's just
We have no control over
fed
it.
by, who says like, oh, I had to turn, or like if it shows people in their movements turning around. I know specifically what we're involved with is providing updated traffic control. So whenever we are doing work on the bridge, we try to provide as much signage before you get to a point of no return to say that it is closed from these hours on these dates. I know recently during this emergency repair, there was about a week where we had found that the signs were inappropriately marked for certain dates, but we did get those updated within, I would say, 24 hours, so that way folks didn't run into the issue where they got to Stark Street and then saw that it was closed because we were finishing repairs.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Greatly appreciate the update.
Can I just one last, sorry, I did this last night. Okay.
One more thing.
So I did starkstreetbridge.org, okay?
Yes.
So it says on this page about the project goals, public outreach, schedule, history of the bridge, contact form. It might just be nice, even though I figured out that the public outreach would lead you to the survey. It might be good to put,
the
maybe
link on the
possibly
front
put
page.
survey
Perfect.
as one of the things on the
Yes,
front
I
page.
can get that updated. I will reach out to our PI lead right now on my way home and let her know.
Okay, thank you.
Like a recipe, you know, when you open a recipe, you have to read about grandma and her house.
Yeah, we have to
She loved it,
scroll
and you're
down
like,
to
I
get
just
down,
want,
yeah.
I just want the recipe, and there's a skip to the recipe button.
Yes, that's funny. I was doing that just last night. I had to scroll for a minute
I
before I got to the
don't care about
ingredients.
that.
I skipped those recipes.
It is good information, but it would be good
Yes.
to just skip to
No,
the
that's perfect. Thank
survey.
you.
If it doesn't have a shortcut, I find it.
Yeah. No, thank you all for having me. These have been incredibly fun. And I hope that we can come back later this summer with some updates. So,
Look forward to it.
thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All right. So item C under discussion items is a presentation of urban forestry master plan.
Let me pull up the slide deck. All right. Good evening, CAC. I'm Erica Palmer, Community Development Director for the city. Thank you for having me this evening.
You get first crack at this one.
You do, because I'm going to be taking this on the road and doing a little road show to the Planning Commission and the Parks Advisory Committee meeting later this month as well. So I'm here tonight to talk about the Troutdale Urban Forest Master Plan project. Why this project now, and why is it important? This project came about from the Parks Master Plan that was adopted in 2023. In that plan, it talks about creating a urban forest master plan to help with maintenance issues in our parks and how we maintain our street trees over time. So basically our urban forest here in Troutdale. We received a grant from the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development through their Green Infrastructure Program. So this project was 100% funded from the state of Oregon. And I also want to give a thank you to Dudek. They were our consultants on this project. We've been working on this project for the past, I want to say 8 months or so to complete this project. And I also want to thank Multnomah County Transportation Department because they have been, very helpful reviewing all of our documentations to make sure that the city and county are consistent in what we're saying for codes and regulations, and also Friends of Trees, which is an organization here in the metro region that helps property owners plant trees in the planting strips in their front yards for free. And we offer Friends of Trees comes out to Troutdale once or twice a year and offers this program to Troutdale residents. I just want to throw that out there. People are looking for street trees. So the agenda this evening, I'm going to talk about the planning process, a little bit about the community engagement that we went through, the existing conditions, the plan itself, the street tree planting guide, and the street tree manual. and also the municipal code audit. So this project was pretty in-depth. We did an existing conditions report, then we focused on the plan itself, and then we have a street tree planting guide, which is an educational outreach tool for community members. So it teaches them, how to care and maintain for your street trees. And then we updated our street tree list, which talks about the appropriate types of trees that should be planted in these urban planting strips in front of your house, and how to take care of those. So with that, I'm going to move on to the planning process. So like I said, we did an existing conditions tree inventory report. And I'm gonna actually pass this. I didn't make a copy for everyone this evening because it's a lot of paper, but I will provide you at the end of this presentation with the project planning webpage. All of this information is on that webpage. And all of the information that's on the webpage now are public review documents. So we put these public review documents up on the webpage to seek feedback from the community. If you have any suggestions, edits, red flags, we want to know what those all are by June 30th. So we can take this to council in July. And I'll talk about those next steps at the end of this presentation.
You said you're going to provide us with a link to this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and I can also email it out if that's helpful as well.
I appreciate that.
Yes, for sure. So we did an existing conditions report that talks about our tree inventory here in Troutdale. And then that existing conditions report really helped us focus on policy and implementation strategies in the plan. So it gives us a baseline of our current existing urban forest here in Troutdale, and then it provides us with information. What can we do better? How can we maintain these urban forests better? And so a lot of that information is found in the management plan document. And I want to caveat this. We talk about community engagement. So we started this project late last summer. For community engagement, we were at First Friday. We were at Movies in the Park. We did an online survey, and about 150 people participated in that online survey. It was posted on Facebook and different social media sites, as well as a champion article. We have a project page that's been up on the website this entire time for people to gather information about this project. And we've also have held stakeholder interviews with Multnomah County and Friends of Trees just to get their insights on, their best practices for public street trees. So, community engagement. This is us at First Friday last August it was. And then there's the flyer talking about this project and scanning a code to go to the survey. And I believe I came to the CAC and talked about the public engagement strategy for this plan late last fall. So what we heard from residents about public trees, we learned a lot. People value trees in the community. 64% rated trees is very important. We heard a lot of concerns about safety issues related to street trees, about falling branches or sidewalk damage as trees get older. The benefits that trees provide the community: shade, beauty, cleaner air. And we also heard about barriers for planting. Why aren't people planting street trees? And 38% said they would plant a tree if property damage risk was lower. And so these are the things that we address in the management plan itself. We try to address a lot of the issues that people brought up. So our existing conditions report. So this is just a snapshot in time. This is our current baseline here in Troutdale. So our tree inventory documented over 3,000 trees, and we recorded attributes such as species, conditions, and diameter at breast height.
Actually, Eric, a quick question.
Yes.
Quick clarifying question. When we're talking about the things covered by the urban forest plan, are we just talking about street trees?
Yes.
Or are other trees on city property included, i.e. parks?
That's an excellent question. Yes, so when we talk about public street trees, or public trees, we talk about trees in planter strips and trees in public parks and in natural areas. Yep. So when we get to our code audit, the city of Troutdale, we don't regulate trees on private property. We only regulate street trees and trees within our parks areas, natural areas.
Sorry, I guess continuing on that, did they inventory like these green spaces
Yep.
here? There's only 2,400 trees total in Troutdale. I find that hard to believe.
38.
37.
Or 3,800?
So the top 10 species in the city that were inventoried, we have a lot of maples, pears, plums, and cherries and dogwoods. 93% of the inventory trees were in fair or good condition. And the overall canopy coverage of trees here in Troutdale covers 24.7% of the city, which is equivalent to 952 acres. And the lowest canopy coverage, and this might come as no surprise, was in our industrial zone land areas, and that's the land just north of I-84, which encompasses the airport and Amazon and some of the other larger facilities. The medium density residential actually had the lowest canopy coverage out of the residential zones, while the high density and low density residential zones exhibited about 26 to 20% canopy coverage. So that's pretty interesting. So when we talk about areas where we can increase canopy coverage, we might want to look at those medium density residential areas. So takeaways from the existing conditions report. We want to increase our species diversity, and that will help mitigate risks from pests that we're seeing in the region and diseases such as the emerald ash borer. You might have heard about this pest recently within the region. It's not good to have. It will kill ash trees, and many communities are actually taking the ash tree off of their tree lists for people to plant because it has it's taking over and destroying the ash trees within communities. We want to adopt a practice and really talk about and emphasizing to people, we want to plant the right tree in the right place. And when you plant the right tree in the right place, you're gonna reduce a lot of risks to your sidewalks, to different public utilities that the tree might surround. So it's just really emphasizing that if you plant the right tree in the right place, we're gonna lessen, as a property owner, you're gonna lessen costs to yourself and the city. It will actually reduce our costs as well. When we talk about setting a future goal, maybe for canopy coverage in the city, a good range that we were looking at is between 25 to 30%. And we're getting pretty close to 25%. And it talks about that in the report, but we would still need to plant, I believe, roughly, I want to say 1,000 trees or so within our parks and natural areas to meet that canopy coverage. Or property owners could plant more trees in their planting strips as well. So we also want to maintain and track data over time. We have some data, but we could be better at maintaining our data on street trees and funding. So the urban forest management plan document itself. So we really set a vision in this plan. We want Troutdale's urban forest to be healthy. We want it to be diverse and resilient. We want it to support environmental quality and public safety. and community well-being. And we recognize as a community, trees provide an aesthetic value, but we also need to recognize their role in providing shade, which can lessen energy costs and improving air quality and water quality, and managing our city's stormwater and supporting wildlife habitat. Just recognizing all of those values trees provide to our community. So we developed these 5 after getting input from the community, after talking to our stakeholders. We developed these 5 principles in the plan. We want to maintain and enhance Troutdale's urban forest through sustainable practices and funding. We want to provide training and education and outreach on tree care and maintenance to our residents, and that's very important. And we want to promote a diverse, resilient, and pest-resistant urban forest. And like I said, we want to internally here at the city improve our data collection about our urban canopy coverage and monitor it over time. And then we should also be integrating trees into our city planning processes and looking at how we can incorporate trees into our infrastructure as well. So findings and recommendations. As I said, I'm just going to go over these pretty quick because I talked about a lot of these already. Because we have such a high level of maples and cherries and plums, we have a pretty uneven canopy and a low diversity range of trees here in Troutdale, and we just want to, as we continue to plant more trees, to think about diversity and how we can add diversity into our parks and natural areas. We also want to think about the ongoing sidewalk and utility and maintenance conflicts that can happen with planting trees, and that's why I say we really want to emphasize that planting the right tree in the right place is very important. As we plan ahead, we have developed a street tree manual for Troutdale residents that really talks about street tree care, what types of trees they should be planting in their planting strips, how to reduce conflicts with utilities and sidewalks, and how to prepare for heat and drought and different kinds of pests, what they should be looking for, such as the emerald ash borer. And we did want to keep protecting and maintain our mature canopy and our high benefit trees as well. In the plan, we talk about the increase of capacity. So urban forestry work is staff limited. And most of our work is mostly reactive. When ice storms come in, branches fall, we're out there, cleaning up branches and whatnot. And it's really not driven by planned maintenance cycles. So we don't have somebody going out in the spring and looking at what trees are dead, what trees should be replaced. If we're having a problem with pests, we don't currently do that, and maybe we should do that a little bit more. It talks about that in the plan and how we can build that into our parks maintenance department. And we also talk about in the plan how to invest in this program. So we talk about certificate. I don't know how to say this word this evening. Certification.
Certificate.
Certification. Thank you. My brain. Certification. And making sure that we have a certified arborist on board with the city. So we do right now. Jonah Jacobson, who's a certified arborist, he's been very helpful in when people come in and when they have questions about their street trees, he can provide information about trees and what types of trees people should plant. And we should be making sure that we cross-train and we have people on staff that can really answer questions from residents here in Troutdale that have street tree questions. We also recognize that, the funding for urban forestry really fluctuates year to year. And we don't have, we could be doing better at stabilizing like our operation costs for maintaining our urban forestry, like maintenance and tracking. So we just want to look at what are some ways we can do that better. And I want to say something about the plan document itself. So as you review the plan document, there's a page in the plan that talks about funding sources that are out there that the city could utilize. And I want to say and emphasize this. We are not looking right now at different ways to fund urban forestry within the city. We're not looking at taxing the citizens or like increasing the cost, for citizens in Troutdale to provide these services. That page is really just describing like what options are available if the city at some point in the future just wants to take action and fund urban forestry a bit more. So I just want to state that for the record so people aren't thinking we're implementing some sort of urban forestry tax. No, that is not the case. So in this list of materials, we have a street tree guide, and the purpose is it's an educational outreach tool for the citizens of Troutdale. It talks about the different pests, it talks about our local street tree regulations, it has planting guidelines and care guidelines and other resources. This slide right here shows the table of contents. And we made sure that we put lots of diagrams and pictures into this document that's hopefully easy for people to read and digest. So our last task with this project was looking at our municipal code. Street trees are regulated in our municipal code under Title 13. And looking at the code audit, we made some changes. We modified some of the policy language. We made the code clearer. We added some professional standards for certified arborists. We clarified what triggers a permit and processes for removing street trees in your planting strips. And then we also improved the enforcement framework as well. So next steps. So all of these documents are online. And if you have friends and neighbors who are really interested in urban forest care and management, please send them to our project page, and I will have that project page here up in a minute, because we really want suggested edits by June 30th. And since this is a public review draft, it's not perfect. There are a couple pages in the draft that says insert Title 13 name here. Because when we were doing the code audit review and the management plan, the code audit wasn't finished when we completed this draft plan. So we're gonna have to go back and put in the new title, and we will do that when we take it to city council. So if you have eagle eyes and are really reading the plan, you'll see that in a couple of places. So I just wanna point that out. So we have the plan document includes the street tree planting list and the care guide, and that's going to be placed on the council agenda for their July 14th meeting for review and consideration of adoption per resolution. The municipal code audit, on the other hand, is going to be placed on the council agenda in August and September, and that's because council goes on a 5-week summer recess, and I didn't want to break up that ordinance reading because it requires 2 readings through city council. I didn't want to break that up by 5 weeks. Have one reading in July and the next one in August. People, I don't want people to forget anything that we talked about through that review process. So here, if you were just type in Google Troutdale Urban Forest Management Plan or Troutdale Urban Forest, it'll actually bring you to the project page that has all of these documents. That I will take any questions, but I want to say something. That we provided an update street tree list for residents to look at. So when they are choosing to plant a tree in their planting strip, they can look at this list, look at the recommended trees that we provided, and the street tree list talks about what tree species are good for certain width planting strips, because our planting strips here in Troutdale range from 3 feet to 6 feet. The street tree inventory list also talks about the characteristics of these trees as well. And when we took this street tree list to the Parks Committee, I think last month or the month before, they provided some excellent feedback. And some of the feedback that they provided to us was, how can the city put this list up on the website and make it easy for people to kind of search for certain trees, or how can this list provide links to show what the tree actually looks like? And we're going to do that after we adopt this updated list, and we can make those things happen when that list goes online. So right now you kind of see the 2D document of that street tree inventory list for people to plant, but once it's up online, I think we're going to be able to make it more user-friendly for people to be able to search through the database and get more information about tree types, which is pretty exciting.
Committee questions and comments? Diane?
I finally got to walk far on the Chalk Trail. I took a family member with me, and I was surprised how barren or non-attractive some of the, or just lack of trees. Let's just say lack of trees. And is there any challenges, or is there any reason they have to not plant trees to make their property just more, I don't know, is there anything stopping them from doing more trees? I don't know, like power lines, does that affect the trees being under them, or have you all talked to them about considering trees, planting trees in that area?
Are you talking about the city-owned property or the port property?
The port property, and the Amazon, all of it, everything
All of
that you
it.
get to see while you're on the Chalk Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we know what trees are best to plant under power lines because they can prevent a conflict with utilities. Some of that property is owned by the port. People can plant trees in that area. Trees are costly, but we also have events such as Friends of Trees that will help residents in the different jurisdictions plant trees in natural areas. So I think it's just getting different partners on board and prioritizing areas where we should plant, and maybe we should prioritize that area where the trail is in that industrial zone for more trees.
And let's see, and one more. I forgot if we mentioned this or not. Are native trees also included in the packet?
Yes.
The natives.
Yes.
Okay, and then is the cottonwood included as a native tree?
I don't believe the cottonwood is on the inventory. Okay, trees to plant.
They're dangerous.
They're dangerous. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Shelby?
I was just gonna say that, I think that Chalk Trail is on, levee, and there's probably some restrictions for the levee.
Yeah, trees and levees
Along the
don't
levees.
mix well.
So, and then obviously close to the airport, they had to take some trees out of Thousand Acres years ago, the approach for the airport. So there are limitations on, that's probably why it's the way it is. I don't know for sure if it could be improved, but I think that the drainage district anticipates that obviously on levees you can't.
Good point.
Well, the neat thing about Troutdale is that we get 45 inches of rain, I think, annually. So that helps to like take care of trees a lot. I mean, we're I think in a better situation to plant and not have to water than other areas
The
are.
problem with the water district, though, is that, and I think what Shelby was alluding to, is tree roots have a long history of destabilizing levees. So there's structural issues there, and then you run into federal regulations on that.
Yeah, when I comment, I wasn't talking about that area anymore, but just saying that it's a bonus for Troutdale that we're blessed with water.
I know there's not funding or access or asking for that, but there is a goal to try to get from 24 point to hopefully 30%. Is there any talks about actual steps after, maybe like working with Friends of Trees to do an annual like tree drive or something? Champion, is that going to be part of the Parks Department's mandate or something?
Exactly. Those are all the kind of strategies we really want to emphasize here in our community to encourage people to plant, but also encourage the city to plant as well.
If we can get that, the Parks Department on board with something like that, then we could probably make a lot of progress in a short time, especially if Friends of Trees is providing the trees and the, help with the drive sort of thing. So it's great to see that implemented as well as part of that.
I have some vague recollection when the Parks Master Plan was being discussed and implemented, that there was like some specific language in there about increasing the canopy coverage as a goal of, as part of the Parks Master Plan. And the only reason it sticks in my head is I seem to recall that particular line item had a certain amount of discussion when in front of council.
I guess that's where, kind of my fraud is like if it is a mandate and there is opportunity with a partner that then becomes a mandate for parks, that they prioritize that as a focus. I mean, we can all have goals.
Yep.
Whether we're working on them or not is another question.
Part of the Parks Advisory, they've had events the last 2 years and plan to continue doing it. We've had planting events for 2 years in a row now, and Jonah's been a force in making that happen. I think he continues to want to do that, so.
Maybe there's
They're usually in, it seems a weird time to me, because I'm like, it's not nice out, but they're in February, January and February is when we've done them.
Because that is the best time to plant a tree. Is at the end of January, early February, or October, early
Super fun to be
November.
out there, but one of them was beautiful. I didn't make it to the last one, but the first one 2 years ago, it was gorgeous outside. It wasn't raining at all, so it was a great day.
we all, just to finish up on this point, we all love putting stickers on the board, right, and seeing how far we progressed. I wonder if there's an opportunity to take this baseline and then say, hey, we've done this many trees every year, come visit. Here's our champion, hey, we're getting closer, and then really trying to promote that event alongside.
When Shelby and Victoria, wouldn't you say that we've asked Jonah for a map of where they've been planted so we can see what we've added? I feel like we've asked him at parks that we want to see.
I'm not on parks, so.
I don't know why. I think we've asked for a map to see where they've been put in.
I know
and it's
they
supposed to be
planted
getting back to us.
a bunch in my neighborhood this year.
But they've been added not only in neighborhood strips, we put them in the parks
in the
as
parks.
well. And so he has an inventory. So, and I'm sure that those have dates on them, especially the new ones.
It might be even interesting to target those medium density residentials where there is the lowest coverage and trying to get in those areas too, specifically.
Yeah, there's outreach too. there's outreach to those groups, and there's especially outreach to the people who have removed them.
I was thinking that some of you guys probably attended the budget meeting. Wasn't there a bunch of money allocated this year out of the street tree fund to Friends of Trees that they were gonna help us plant a bunch? Was that on the budget? I mean, I thought that got allocated in the budget. They took a bunch of money out of the street trees fund and we're going to give that to Friends of Trees to get plantings. Okay. What else was, I misunderstood on the budget committee. I was attending and that's what I thought I understood from the meeting, so.
Well, and there again, I have some vague recollection that there's been mention in the past of Friends of Trees like being directly involved in efforts that the city brings them in to help plant trees in city-managed spots.
Right.
So that may just be part of that accounting.
Yeah. And then the other thing I was gonna say is I didn't get a chance to look through the whole thing, but I think the thing is I like to encourage tree planting. I just don't like to see the punitive stuff against the citizens. You know, I do not like that stuff that I read in the code, and so I didn't care for that part. But otherwise, I like to encourage. And if people struggle with the pruning, you know, we need to help them. I don't want to see them get fined or.
Right. So actually, in the code, a big change that we made in the code dealt with street trees along 257th. And because we know we don't want people going out on 257th, right, and impeding traffic trying to cut a branch. So in the updated code, we talk if you're a property owner that lives along 257th and you have a street tree along 257th, that is your responsibility to maintain. Reach out to the city, we can come out and we can take a look to see what needs to be done, and the city will take care of it.
I just in general don't like to see people penalized just because they were struggling with the trees or whatever somehow.
I have kind of a random question about all the pictures. Are all of them Troutdale pictures, or are some of them random? Like, I feel like one is a blue lake.
One or two, like we tried to
Just pick all Troutdale?
pick all Troutdale.
Okay.
Yeah, and even in my presentation this evening, I made sure that they were all Troutdale photos.
No first if you want.
Wait, is that? You guys, before I ask my actual question, does that count the picture of the older ladies doing hopscotch?
Oh yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I just wanted to clarify, I guess I missed something. I was wondering, why are cottonwoods dangerous?
Because during windstorms, oftentimes if they
fall apart as they get older.
They're a very
Shallow-rooted.
They're shallow rooted, and then they're not a very tight fibered tree. They're a very loose fibered tree. So when they, like a fir, if a branch breaks, it usually snaps. It has a little bit of like frail or a little bit of like fringe that comes out still. You know, a couple pokey parts. Cottonwoods shatter when they fall apart because the pulp is so loose. So they grow really tall and kind of thin. So they fall really easy with shallow roots because you usually find them around rivers and streams because they soak up the moisture, but they have to be close because they don't have very deep and long roots. So they fall easily, they spread really easily. That's why there's that song, Cottonwood Falling Like the Snow in July. It's true, if you've ever been around like a bunch of cottonwoods when the wind's blowing in July, those seed pods go everywhere and they plant themselves, and they're very impossible to manage. And then trying to cut them down a 150-foot tree, it's virtually impossible because cutting it with a chainsaw, it'll just shatter and it's extremely dangerous. So I have a lot of experience with my buddy's farm out on Sauvie's Island, cutting a lot of cottonwoods.
They're terrible firewood.
Exactly, they don't burn, since they're not tight fiber, they don't burn well, so it's like, what are we supposed to do with these? We can't even burn them, so you just kind of let them rot. So, yeah.
we have a couple forestry friends that pretty much refuse to go back into Helenotus area at all, simply because of the cottonwoods, and they're like constantly looking up, waiting for something to fall on their head.
Widowmakers don't come out of nowhere, it doesn't have to be hanging there, just a good gust of wind and.
Can you send the gust the direction of my house? One I have, and it's not going to fall.
But speaking, sort of adjacent to that, things falling on heads. I know the primary focus of these resources is around, at least for citizen information, is around street trees.
Correct.
Have the resources in the guide, particularly around care and maintenance, also been worded and formulated so that citizens with various other trees on their property outside of the city right-of-ways and such have information that they can use there as well?
I think so, especially when we talk about mitigating risks of trees, how they should, how close you should plant them to utility lines, your house.
Foundations.
Yes.
And then also, is there, and I didn't look through there carefully, but is there, do we have a list of either city or other resources that homeowners can call for if they have questions about a potentially dangerous tree that they want evaluated? Or if nothing else, just say, how worried do I need to be about this? As an example, on the east side of my property, there is a line of 75, 85-year-old plus trees that if any one of them were to get sick and fall over right in the wrong direction, my house is gone. Just sort of things, resources of things to watch out for when to start being worried about the health of the trees that are on your property is something that would be very useful to property owners and citizens concerned about all of the vegetation in and around their space.
Speaking to that, so you can always call the city, and we get calls about street trees, and we direct people to DONA when people have questions about the health of their street tree. And if he has time, he will go out and talk to people about their street trees and the health and maintenance and care. And this is why that cross training is really important when it comes to staff. So we have more than just one person on staff that has the education about trees. Now, if you have trees, like for example, in your backyard or front yard that might need care, we might say you need to call us a certified arborist to talk about these issues, because the tree is located on private property. However, the trees, Adrian, I think in the back of your house might be on public property.
Well, the ones in the back absolutely are.
Right. So we would definitely come out and take a look at any trees that are on public property that might be in danger of causing problems on private property, because we don't want that to happen.
More of what I was kind of looking for is sort of in the care and maintenance sections of the outreach guide, is things that people can look for in their trees, just even visually. It says, when should I start getting worried?
Great suggestion. I don't think our guide talks about that specifically, and I think that could be a good thing to add.
Because, I mean, especially if it's on private property, and calling out an arborist to do an intensive check is not an insignificant ask.
Right.
And to a certain extent, and even for properties where, I mean, it's not necessarily, I mean, the person that's occupying it is not necessarily the homeowner. It could be a tenant that is wanting to know, how much do I need to pester my landlord to get this sorted? And things like that, I think would be very helpful and welcome.
Noted.
Victoria?
Just to clarify, Shelby Shulman, in this year's budget's 24,000 for a Friend of Trees event. 24,000. Last year we only had 100 in. And I'm not sure why.
I believe
Trying to
they came in,
remember.
I think if somebody brought in, maybe it was, I can't remember who said, but they were in conjunction, Friends of Trees is what I was thinking of, had come in and proposed, and so then there was a push to take the money out of the account, let's do that project.
That doesn't mean we're gonna spend it, but it's allocated.
It's allocated to be able to do it.
And I know they lost their federal funding Friends of Trees.
Oh, okay.
So that might be, I can't remember we didn't go over every reason why things were in the budget. So, but it's on page 194.
There's nothing else from the committee. I will open it up for the public. Paul, any comments, questions?
Nope, nothing from me.
Well, Planning Commission will get their own presentation next week, which I won't be there for, but that's okay. Well, thank you, Erica, as always, for the information.
Thank you.
All right, last discussion item for today is the town hall open house discussion. So after the last meeting, per this group's intention, I went and had a little chat with City Council during public comment and basically informed them of the rough idea of what we were planning. The feedback that I got back was, for the most part, negligible. They seem to be open to the idea, certainly. Although after the council meeting, there was some additional comments from Mayor Ritma, who seemed to be more preferential of the idea of essentially separating the two, separating the town hall police fire thing from the open house, going so far as suggesting that a particular council meeting docket be cleared and advertised such to do exactly that. And then there was some similarly worded discussion that I listened to the recording of the last city council meeting, where there was some talk about using the working session, the next URA working session, and council meeting to essentially have something of a town hall public comment session for the sheriff police topic in particular, which I believe that is coming up here in mid-June.
So, can't remember off the top of my head.
I believe that's what was.
I know that's
said.
the agenda.
So anyway, so that's my report on my discussion, or my report to city council, and then what I observed the recording of the last council meeting myself. I know, Diane, you were there, but you had said a lot of those meetings mushed together, which I completely understand. But I guess I will open it up at this point. It's this discussion time. So thoughts on how we, given that reaction, how we want to proceed with our plans, or if we want to go back and have and actually, instead of public comment time, actually get on council's agenda and have a more intensive discussion with them on this.
Well, if I could also add some additional context, I had a goal in mind to start kind of looking at how to get businesses involved in the meeting. I know that was something that was in the last one, so I followed up on that. Marley had been out of town, and so I waited for her to get settled back in, gave her a little time, and gave her a call. Just to ask some of those questions that we had. How are you working with the businesses? How much closeness do you have with them? Do you have a list with contacts and so on? And she also shared some information, and she maybe has a couple people she can call on, but she didn't have great answers about the legality of those sorts of things. So I reached out to the contacts that she gave me, Kelly Graham for potentially the list of businesses, and then also Sarah Scrove for sort of rules about that. And I don't think that either of them really had the answers to the questions that we were trying to ask. And so they referred us to Mike Weston, which this morning, you can read the email that Mike sent me to be able to share with you. And then I also had 2 conversations with Mayor Rittman today regarding that. And you can read the email and talk about the conversation, as that's the order I got him in, or vice versa. But it basically echoed that same sentiment that he believed it was a good idea to have the conversation about public emergency services, and to have that come up. He said that it cannot be a city employee that gives the discussion, so our idea that maybe Mike would do that. I believe that legally, according to Ed Trumpke, that's not okay. But he said that if, again, that idea of, hey, let's just clear an entire city council meeting, it would be the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Tuesday of the month that they would convert either the regular city council or an urban renewal meeting to that. They would lay out what's happening, and then just open it up for discussion with any public comment, any questions. Just let them have it. Everything from the people that are pro to the people that are against, and just kind of let it breathe. There was concern for staff time regarding setting up the event or a town hall that would be not outside of a regularly scheduled meeting. There was also concern about whether or not we'd be able to get the volunteers from the committees that would want to do the booth, or like sort of an open house style. And there maybe wasn't vision of seeing the benefit of doing it that way eventually. I pushed kind of back a little bit and said, well, hey, if we did just a town hall meeting, and we had volunteers from the groups that wish to have a booth or wish to have a table, and a short period of time potentially before the meeting and then maybe after the meeting as well, to be able to have that concept that we had of, imagining people coming in and, hey, I'm here to talk about this. Oh, you need to go talk with parks. Hey, I'm here to talk about this. Hey, let's go over to historic landmarks. And there was maybe some doubt about how many people that we would potentially have come to it, and whether or not the Glen Auto or the Sam Cox building would be appropriate, or maybe if this venue would be appropriate size. There was definitely a suggestion that we reconsider our initial concept that we had of the 4 or 5 hours, 2 separate things, and maybe shorten it, and then bring it in to a regular meeting time where the staff is already scheduled to be there and the room's available. I don't have a opinion one way or the other on it. I'm just the messenger, so don't shoot the messenger.
Thoughts?
Um,
No, yeah.
With, I think the police one is really important. So if there's a meeting coming up, like, I don't know when, that's conducive to a work session or whatever, with that Dave Ritma would suggest that, if they're having a work session and a lot of parties are involved, that would include maybe sheriffs talking as well too. That would be a good comprehensive dialogue for citizenry to listen to. There should be something, I believe, substantial, because I've been trying to follow different committees and to see what the conversations are, and unfortunately, the Public Safety and Equity Advisory, or working group. The working group. Yeah. I attended that one because I'm trying to get caught up and understand some of the concepts of what they're working on and what's going on, because I don't have my head fully wrapped around it. And there was quite a few retired sheriffs that were Troutdale police officers. And they had they had some great conversation and input to just make some points. And Mr. Weston was a little ill, and the audio did not get turned on till Mr. Vining was speaking, but already 3 people had spoke a lot prior to that. My concern was I'm married to Glenn White, who is a counselor, and I was just going to, since it was such a good, fruitful meeting, to say, hey, watch this. But then when you watched it, it started when Mr. Vining spoke. So we missed out on all that. So I'm thinking at a future meeting when all parties are involved, so we don't just get a little highlight from our city manager, where the mayor would be there, the council would be there, and then anybody that would come and then ask questions and such. I think I did talk to Mr. Ritma, and he said he was open to a work session coming up that, but open to questions. So, and then I also had talked to him, and he said that maybe, he's probably talking to you, that said that prior to that if all the committees would have a table present or whatever, that could be done beforehand. But then the big highlight would be this big discussion that would occur where all parties are available, so you could get a good, well-rounded possible understanding, because it's hard for me, like, piecemeal it, and I'm trying to go wherever, whenever, because it's hard to understand the budget. There's the budget question, there's the what are we getting now, what are the costs, what did we have before with the police, and is that our expectation that we can afford or have currently? So there's just so many components to it, and so I think it's very worthy of a full, comprehensive opportunity to ask all questions, and to be able to have the people that we can ask the questions to there. Just because this is just, that was really important back when it was changed, and I think it's huge now, especially when it's tied to finances and trying to understand the city's finances too. So I'm thinking if that happens, I think the date he was mentioning to me might be October is when they would be having that work session. So just an idea again, that way we could.
But they want to put it on the November ballot.
What's that?
I think they want it to go on the November ballot.
Okay, see,
That would be for the fire district though, correct? That's, because the fire district is the one that has to go in front of voters.
They're talking about putting, this on the ballot too.
Really?
A levy,
A separate public safety levy for,
yeah. And so,
Because people didn't want to have the increase in safety.
water bill. And so the idea is to make it a property tax levy for safety.
has that not got, pardon, Diane, that's not been discussed at a council meeting.
I didn't hear that at the last council meeting.
I think,
There was the one before that, but
Oh my goodness.
like similarly to us not actually spending the
So
money.
October is way too late. The next urban renewal is the
It's
16th.
June 16th, yeah. Which would be, to my mind, entirely too soon.
Too soon.
Because there is no way you could get enough publicity in time to get enough people here to have a proper discussion.
We're gonna need way more than one or two. We're gonna need multiple. And that's why I was thinking of having it with the town hall too. I mean, this is big. I mean, and people, like you said, you have to piecemeal it together. People aren't gonna understand until we get it really clear what's happening, how much the budget would go up if we don't do this. There's so much that they have to understand that we need more than one. And lots of people would be able to make one, but they might make another. I know Multnomah County put out another statement this week very against it. So they're really, Multnomah Sheriff put it out, very against this. And they've had one a few weeks ago very against it. And then they have a lot to lose too. This building, contract, I mean, there's a lot that we have to look at.
So, my thought is I definitely think we need to have something. And I'm increasingly liking the idea of focusing on basically a dedicated council session. If nothing else, having city council being a captive audience for whatever can be arranged. But a key portion of that is going to be making sure we have enough time to publicize this effort and get the word out, but still leaving enough time to ahead of November to make an impact and possibly update things. And the way things have been moving lately, at least for the bits and pieces that have come out in various meetings, and I'm with you, Diane. I haven't been able to wrap my head around all the because things seem to be moving fairly quickly, and frankly, that terrifies me. But yeah, so when we talked last month, when we were sort of penciling out tentative dates for our town hall open house, I think we were looking at like the first week of October initially. And do we want to pull that forward and look into August or September? And then do we want to have a more direct conversation with city council on how to structure this. One of the downsides of going in as public comment is that the structure of public comment during a city council meeting is councilors generally do not provide direct input on items during public comment. They sort of they might get referred to later. In this particular case, they didn't. So
You need to make it an open forum.
yeah.
It needs to be an open forum concept.
Which basically means we need to get on their agenda. And probably we need to get on their agenda once just to figure out time, date, and structure when we want to do this, and then the date itself.
Or we could forward a recommendation, something we create here, and then forward the recommendation to council. Not necessarily have to make it a council sort of thing, but if we had, hey, here's your blueprint, go for it. I don't know, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Although I think my own thought is I kind of want to
Make sure that there's contact.
Yeah, I kind of want to be a little more hands-on with this personally, and I'm happy to do that. I don't mind going in front of the counselor squad and fronting questions, because I know usually when I have to go in front of city council, I usually see a number of you back behind me, which I appreciate the support.
I guess if I were to look at it from considering that it's either going to be done through a levy or it's going to continue to be done through a public safety fee on our water bill. The levy seems to be a little more less regressive as far as versus a water bill sort of thing. And if we see that, and if we all agree based upon what we saw at the budget meeting, that police and fire services are basically taking up all of our money that we're receiving in taxes, something has to be done. Otherwise, we're going to be in the negative, or we're going to be incorporated. And so I think that those of us that have been paying attention to it understand that, like, hey, gosh, maybe I traditionally don't vote for levies and taxes. Maybe this is what I do want to consider for these reasons and why it directly benefits me as a Troutdale, and it's going to go specifically to those things versus other things. And I think, the more that, I guess, stating that the October meeting right before a November election would be probably closer, in people's minds of having that conversation, prior to that vote being taken. But then hopefully we can, the city can really put a full court press on communication and regarding the pickle that we're in. And like, hey, I just want to pay more taxes, but here's where we're at, guys. What are we going to do here? Can we come ask questions, come figure this out with us, come talk. What levels of service are we going to have? What are we trading off? All those sorts of things. I really think that all those things need to be really well communicated. Otherwise, it's no matter, like we've seen what's happened with the tax increases lately, and nobody wants them. Every one of them's failing. So we're in this era where people are fed up with mismanagement and misspending of funds, and I think we need to educate people of what we spend our money on and where this is going, and we're not going to do these crazy policies that we're spending money on. This is actually going towards these certain things. Otherwise, we're going to lose the levy and we're just going to get our water bill jacked. That's the other funding mechanism.
Well, and actually, that sort of brought another thing to mind. I'm talking about trade-offs. I got the distinct impression that listening to the last council meeting, that there are there's essentially active negotiations happening right now between Mike Weston and Mayor Ritma and the sheriff's office, basically asking questions. How can we get this bill for our public safety down. Because there was talk during the council meeting about the loss of the resource officer.
No.
Was that not related? Yeah, I apologize if I
I've said this,
missed.
we never pay for we might have years ago. The resource officers are paid through Reynolds School District. TriMet officers are paid through TriMet. I mean, things that were said aren't true. We also pay Multnomah County taxes for them to cover us no matter what. So they'd always be our backup anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I fully accept that I either misheard or misunderstood or something was missaid during the meeting, and I appreciate the clarification.
Now, if you mean our community resource officer.
That's probably what I was thinking about.
He's through the sheriff's department, but we pay extra for him.
Right, and I
We
think.
have to pay his whole.
And I think that's probably what I was hearing. And Paul, since you put your hand down, I think, is that what you were wanting to clarify? Yeah.
Shelby, I just wanted to say that I think there is misinformation, misunderstanding about our taxes, about what's happening on all of these. And I think, unfortunately, the Public Safety Work Group is also feeling left out of the loop. They're supposed to be more informed, but they were caught off guard at the budget meeting when this was presented about the sheriff. So there's just so much to it, but there's still confusion, and when things are stated, it's clear as mud. It's not being presented well. And I think we have to do a better job of communicating that to our community. And I know in public safety, we were excited about the equity group to be at town hall, and hoping that the working group and us could put a good picture forward and really talk to the community that wasn't intimidated by city council. But we wouldn't be able to answer all the questions, but we try to present more of a clear picture of all the parts. But anyway.
All our police officers are great. I was up in Sandy at a baller game when that shooting occurred this weekend. You never saw such a great response from all the first responders. We had 2 lifelines there. There was like 8 AMR ambulances ready to go. We had police officers from Malala, from Gresham. It was Clackamas County, it was Sandy Police. I mean, I'm really not worried if something bad happens. I mean, this whole community really comes together.
Dan?
I think if we play this recording over again, you brought up a whole bunch of good bullet points of information that's pertinent to the public beginning to understand or asking questions about, and then what Shelby brought up as well. Together, those might be questions we could give to the mayor, since he sets the meetings. He was talking about October work session. How do we make that a work session? He mentioned their questions could be asked, people can present, but also could that be a hybrid of an open forum? So it's a work session where people can talk, ask questions, and presentations are being made, because it'd be nice to hear from the working group, a little bit from them. Do you know what I mean? When they're doing this, so we could have some context as to all these different moving parts that are going on at the same time. And here's the thing too that I'm trying to wrap my head around. Whether it be Troutdale police officers or sheriffs, the prices are going to continue to go up. It's just going to happen.
It's getting cheaper.
And the bummer is when these conversations are happening, we're not talking about all aspects of the benefits too of having Troutdale police officers, which the working group in their, how long have y'all been meeting?
Well, at Twyla, I'm on the public safety committee.
Oh, okay.
But they are a subgroup of our group, and that is the working group.
I think
And
it's
Victoria
true.
and Twyla are, from our group are on that. And the mayor and Counselor One and who else is on there?
Mike Weston on that?
Mike Weston's on
And
it.
Tanny,
I can't remember.
Tanny.
Yeah, but, and then, yeah, Tanny Stafford's on it.
Yeah, because then it'd be nice to also know what groups are there, what have they been working on? And then, like, to me, the levy thing, it's new to me, it hasn't gone through council. It's already November. And I'm not saying that I know process or not, but it just, there needs to be an opportunity to ask questions and to understand.
It would be good if people can submit the questions in advance, so they're all,
Make sure to cover,
yeah. Because you know how you get in the meeting and you forgot something. So, I mean, they can still ask questions, but I mean, we can get some submitted in advance, so things are starting to get answered.
So I don't know if this is something that, I don't know what's appropriate, because when you were talking open forum, what does that mean to you?
To me, that means that there is a section in time when this topic comes up after maybe they give us a brief presentation where people are welcome to come up and ask questions, but it's timed. You only have so long to ask a question and for them to respond. That way it doesn't become a long-winded filibuster where someone's up there for 3 hours asking, holding all the time. Because the thing is, like, they have to keep it, the open forum has to be sent to a certain time. So for this topic, if it were an open forum, there'd be a section for presentation, section for community members to come up, ask a question. Usually they have about 2 minutes to ask a question, and then they can respond for 2 minutes, and then the next person goes. And that's typically how open forums work.
And you're not limited to only one time, you can do it.
No, you can
Just get back in line, if you think of another
go
question.
again, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I like that.
They're not used too often anymore, but that is something that is still.
To clarify, is if somebody came up and they just weren't understanding like what's happening, it'd be okay for then the council group to respond and be like, hey, actually, here's the answer to your question. It's not like start of city council meetings where it's okay, you got 2 minutes, we can't say anything, we can't even nod at you.
Yeah, the open forum is for a back and forth discussion with the city.
As long as it's like that.
Respond.
That's what I want.
I think it's
It's not public comment where it's like, cool, thank you, and then they move along.
I think that when you get 30 sheriff's officers and friends of the sheriff saying, don't do this, it's like, well, hey, either way, we got to pick a funding mechanism here. Whether we choose you or not, that's not the question. The question is the funding. Yeah. The reason we're doing this is because your prices are so high, we're looking for another alternative, cheaper.
But we're also looking for control too,
Yes.
to be able to control the direction.
And with the fire too.
Yeah, because that's always linked. So, with that, what do we want to do next? What's our next steps here?
So it sounds like we need approval because of staff time.
So,
We can figure it out.
Yeah, so there's a couple different things. So the reticence that Mayor Ritman was talking about is, kind of with the initial concept of the open house, what was sitting in the mayor's mind was that evening where all of the committee chairs and all of the major city departments came in front of council and gave their essentially their status update. Hey, what have we been doing lately? To paraphrase, my impression of the mayor's opinion was, so take that for what it's worth. is that he did not consider that to be an effective use of staff's time. He, with that memory very recent, he seemed to think that an open house involving city staff would not be an effective use of time. And then from what Will was reporting, also a question of would we be able to gather enough volunteers from committees to make it worth it, which is not an invalid concern because it's summer and people are busy. So there's those things. My personal thought is, as I think our primary focus, our primary driver really should be the informative town hall discussion. And getting that nailed down, because the whole public safety thing is a matter of increasingly urgent concern, and we need to figure out what we're doing with that. So, which brings me back to the next steps question.
I suppose also, in looking at it, doing it this way, it kind of lifts a lot of the burden off of this group's shoulder to host and do this thing, and it kind of puts it on the council and city staff's plate to come up with a presentation that is going to help win the people over. And I suppose maybe that if we're being told, no, don't do that, we'd rather do it this way, maybe we are then looking at bullet points and saying, hey, these things would be important, make sure to hit these topics. Whatever dates you want to choose, great. We're looking at the potentially second, third, or fourth weekend, Tuesday in October, and kind of let them, I guess, grab the reins and kind of start riding that pony a little bit.
To that point, however, do we want to the extent to which we can, try to help drive that conversation with council?
Well, Diane, I'm thinking, because I talked to Mr. Ritma. He mentioned October. We talked about kids going to school and whatever, so he already, I think, said no, September. So if we can, I liked your bullet points. I liked what you had to say, but I don't know how, let's see, this is, we're only in June. Maybe we can say we're having this discussion and we like some bullet points that we'd like to be included, that would be helpful, that we believe would be helpful for the community to start getting getting some information and being the opportunity with the open forum, like what we're asking, that people can ask the question to just kind of put that all together and then present that to the mayor or whomever else.
I think what you're looking for here is the next immediate step would be something along those lines of, hey, we have these kinds of bullet points, basically responding to city manager's email saying, hey, we have these bullet points, this is the outcome that we're looking for. If you'd rather we do it during a city council committee or a city council meeting, great. How do we make sure it's an open forum? Put it back on him, because I'm not gonna be able to be the one that does that, because that's definitely a city manager kind of call, where he would have to a sit down with the mayor and say, like, hey, the community wants an open forum where we can ask questions and get responses, not during a public comment section, but because he's asking, like, hey, what's the outcome? Don't have to worry about staff time, because it'd be during a regular scheduled meeting. It would have to be in sometime September, October type thing, because they take the 6-week vacation after the first meeting in July, I think it is. So basically, like, they don't do the second meeting in July, they don't do anything, like any meetings in August. So that'd have to be one of those types. But I'd say basically responding to the city manager's email saying, this is the kind of bullet points that we'd like to be an open forum. The outcome we're looking for is information to better inform the community on these large topics that they're going to be voting on, or a decision that's going to be on this November's ballot. But we'd like it to be where we get responses instead of just a public comment. So like have it as an agenda item where there's discussion type deal. I think that would be the immediate next step.
So Diane, that would be discussion and presentation on their part? Okay.
I think that's something we just put it, like you were missing, put it back on them. And that's also a way that we can drive it.
I know we were talking about it would be on their regular meeting, but if their schedule, when they take all this big break, and if their schedule's gonna be packed, they need to accommodate, and we don't wanna miss this opportunity. So, I mean, if it's not available, then maybe we have to schedule another meeting or something like that. And I don't mean to be a burden to staff, but I think that we can figure it out with staff, right? I mean, we love it for you that be there, but if it's a burden for you, I mean, then I say.
Oh, that's the thing, is it's not up to me.
Okay,
That's not down
to
this.
say, and if the city manager thinks that it's too much burden, then to have an additional meeting, then I think we can figure it out. I don't know, and thinking that it's too hard for us to do, I mean, we can start the recording message if we needed to, if we need to.
Yeah, the difficulty of scheduling it and populating it is I don't think the real problem. It's also making sure all of the other necessary resources that we want, the informational resources that we want are there, i.e. council and Mike and whoever else is involved.
Are they all volunteers except for the city manager there?
Yeah, but
If they have such a packed schedule, I just don't like it when citizens don't get any notice, we don't get.
right,
we don't
which is
get-
why I'm wanting to get the timing of it nailed down with council yesterday. Because yes, they have this break, and I know city council is busy, but we should be able to, especially for something that's this high profile and this important of citizen interest, council should be all about carving out a meeting time to make this happen. It's if we as a group, I think, do what we can to impress upon them that this is of major importance, I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of pushback from council getting this on the schedule.
And then we have to make sure to get it well publicized.
Yeah, and that's going to be the other effort is making sure that we're not only mentioned in the next champion, but highlighted in the champion that this is a really important thing coming.
I don't know if there's some way that we can like gauge like community, like, oh yeah, I heard that, I'm planning to go. Because I would love that we were busting out the seams on this room, we had so much interest. But then it would be discouraging to people that come and then they can't even get in, room's too crowded, I can't hear. Yeah. Then I would be thinking, why the heck didn't we do it at Sam Cox? So.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't want to start at Sam Cox and have the mostly empty hall.
Well, so that's why maybe if we could get some gauge, if you're planning on attending, I don't know if that's RSVP.
Yeah, well, and I know that there are, and I don't know to what extent anybody, if Kevin looks at it, but like there's reach metrics on like the Facebook group. You can see how far a particular post travels and how many interactions there are with a particular post. A lot of times those kinds of things are open to interpretation. And you can't always glean good information out of that, but it's something. And the other thing is, a lot of times this is more art than science when we're talking about public involvement and organizing stuff like this. So I mean, we do what we can. And having a packed room is discouraging for the people who wouldn't be able to get in and might not have the chance to speak. Would be frustrating for them. That also sends a signal to council that the interest is that high. So that in and of itself is not necessarily bad.
Advantage to being here, though, would be that we could record it versus.
Yes.
Sam Cox.
You should
That
record in Sam Cox.
You can record?
We used to have our parks meetings there.
But that was, I mean, that was just in the annex. Is the main hall at Sam Cox, does that have any recording equipment in it?
Oh, I don't know if that can be moved or not, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of doubt it, but I don't know. But for that reason, I mean, the simplicity of recording the session would
But
certainly.
they can zoom in too.
Yeah,
We can have them zoom in, raise their hand.
yeah. Well, and that's, yeah.
Managing.
Managing that is, and that's one of the other things, is part of the publicity of all of this is going to go beyond just show up. It's not just populating the room. Part of, and I don't know if it's gonna fall more on staff or if it's something where we can help, but the technical logistics of managing that is gonna be a thing that will require some thought. Fortunately, I mean, once we nail down a time and date, we can put some effort into those thoughts. But let's get a time date certain first, and get commitment from council on that. And we can work out the logistical fiddly details.
I will say, I'm kind of all over the internet as far as like Facebook goes and the Instagram page, and even I've been reading messages from next door, and prior to last city council's meeting, with the statement that had come out from the sheriff's department, there was a bunch of people on Facebook or next door in particular that were all like, oh, the next meeting's on this day, and if you want your voice heard, you want to tell them not to do this, you got to show up to the meeting. And so I tuned in expecting to see all these mad people from next door, and it wasn't even mentioned. So it's surprising, and I think about if there's going to be a meeting like this where it's going to be presented to the people, this is why we're doing it, this is what's happening, so that they can understand it. Like, why do you guys want to do this? Why is this the better option for us? Why do you want us to vote for it, or like to try to explain it? Our job is to make sure people know that it's happening at that meeting, at that time. That's where they can ask their questions. That's where they can get the city's viewpoint, maybe not the sheriff's viewpoint, because they're getting the sheriff's viewpoint and they're all mad about it, but nobody's showing up. And I don't know if it's because they don't, but in this case, there was a date and a time listed and there was still nobody saying it.
Part of the confusion with that is that depending on which post you were looking at, they weren't pointed at city council. The city council date, they were pointed at Eastwag. It's the date that they had.
Did they show up to that?
No, not really. I mean, there was
Why did that meeting get canceled?
because that was the one where the recording got started late.
I'm picturing like just putting signs up everywhere that say, if you have questions about police and fire, show up to this meeting, get your answers here, this is when you want to go, and putting it everywhere so that people will actually show up. Like, that's my goal, is to make sure they know when to show up and get those questions answered and hear it explained to them and presented to them.
And it's gotta be very to the point, like, not this wordy thing where you find out 2 paragraphs in of what we're doing. It's gotta be the police and fire, we gotta pay for it, we need to raise taxes, come talk, or something that's very much
They're
like.
going to raise taxes,
Yeah, or-
whether you like it or not. Come here, why? Like, because, I mean, it's gonna go up whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
One way or another, it's gonna happen. So they need to hear the city's side of it. Like, I just don't think people understand everything, because nobody wants to, they just wanna be mad that they're gonna have to pay money, but they don't understand why. And my goal is to make sure they know where to come to understand why. Like, to spread the word about when it's gonna happen. So as soon as we know when it's gonna happen, like, guerrilla marketing, I guess, like, we just put it everywhere. Like in sidewalk chalk, at the parks, if that's what we have to do. I mean, I just want to spread the word. I just need to know when the word is gonna happen.
The question I have is the fire thing part of this November thing? Or are we just talking police right now? No, it's just police.
I believe it.
So I think we have.
I mean, it's not set in stone, that is what
Okay.
we can try and do.
Because I'm thinking if we combo them, I'm thinking it's just easier to talk police right now. And then, because then it just gets all confusing, it's police/fire. I think on the agenda, and if I'm not, I don't even know, in October, are they discussing just police or police/fire?
I have no idea, the agenda hasn't been.
Okay.
Well, and that's one of the other things I wanted to
The
mention.
fire department has to, we're trying to do it with the other cities.
Okay, so,
Yeah, the fire
Troutdale.
district is a different thing, and I know there's options for fire districts.
Yeah, and
okay,
it's a
so
fire
I'm
district.
thinking for just clarification, that what you, both of you or whatever, talk today or whomever, just whatever, bullet points, maybe, I don't know, I don't know the process, but keep to police. I think if we do police, fire, that already confuses me. Different levies, different whatever, district, yeah, it's a lot. Police is something they were already starting to save money for, correct? In case we did choose to have our own.
There was money in the budget to hire a chief allocated.
I mean, it's allocated, they could do it if we're gonna move forward with that, that's what they could do. I think that's a done deal, that hasn't been for sure, because it can't be because the budget hasn't been approved yet.
Right, but the budget has to,
So you
but
can't
it's
do,
in there.
yeah, but it's in there if they should choose to go.
And the whole thing with the fire district, if we went with the fire district, it would help save money to pay for the police.
Which is one of the talking
It's-
points that's been said, for months, is that if a fire district levy passed, that would theoretically free up money in the general fund to pay for a police department. So, and that's one of the reasons why the discussions of these two inevitably get mushed together. But all of this discussion just highlights the fact that both of these things are horribly, horribly complicated, which is why we need an event like this. Will?
Yeah, I appreciate your points there, Diane, and following up on that. I think, and how we kind of move forward from here, and let me know what you guys think, but maybe, yes, we talk to Mayor Ribma. I also would like to respond to Mike and maybe sit down with him and maybe come in and see him in the office, because I would imagine he has a vested interest in wanting to see this pass. I would imagine his role trying to manage the funds, it would be much easier if there's funds that he would manage. So I would imagine that he would have a vested interest in this process as well, and would want to be a proponent of making sure that this meeting goes well and that the city council is prepared for this. If what Mayor Rittman mentioned earlier, that potentially city staff can't give any sort of information, that means the city council is going to be the one presenting this to the people of why this needs to happen. That's a big task for them to be able to put together. But either way, I think that we see that this is an important thing that we want to have happen. And what I'm hearing is that mayor and council and city manager are like, let's us take this on. Let's bring this into one of our meetings. We'll handle this, guys. We hear you. Now if they're gonna say, okay, we're gonna accept our responsibility and shoulder that burden, then maybe we can help. They can watch this meeting, listen to some of these comments, or continue with the meetings that we have with them as well. And then as these months go on, we continue to help refine, and maybe they can give us some feedback on how it's coming, how are we getting closer? We get a sneak peek at the presentation, or however that's gonna work. But we understand it's a big lift. We put this out there as something that we think is important and an extremely important topic. And what I'm hearing is okay, yeah, we'll take that on. So either way, I think we're getting what we want. Now it's about, the dates and refining the context or the content, and hopefully guiding them in a way that's like, no, yeah, that's what the people need to see. No, that's a little too techy and wordy. Break that down a little bit, make it easier to absorb. Those sort of feedback comments. And then of course, like Tiffany, let's get out and make flyers, put them on our mailboxes around neighborhoods, and make this thing big, and show them why we needed the Sam Cox building.
So one bit of logistics for this group, at least as far as what we do and when. We do not meet again before city council goes on vacation. Because our July meeting is showing canceled on the calendar because it's July 1st.
That's something we have to discuss. I was going to bring up during staff communications that we could discuss. But yeah, it would more than likely be there's a possibility, because I'm out of town that week. I'll be up in Alaska. So I'll be back the 5th. And the 8th is Planning Commission. So that means the next possible time we could do a special CAC meeting on the 15th. But that would be the day after.
Parks meeting.
It's the 15th. Yeah.
Council is on the 14th.
Yeah, because 14th is the final one.
So anyway, my point in that is that if we want to get some definite action out of this, some of us have some offline work to do as far as communicating with Mike and or the mayor, and trying to make that happen and trying to get some ducks in a row before they go on vacation.
And then I guess to your point, do we also then need to get on the calendar for the next meeting and be like?
I would like to get active feedback during a council session. I don't know how hard that's probably a Mike question.
Well, if we're able to make some, headway into those things before it comes to that, then they might have just agenda items stating what's going to happen.
Right.
We may not even have to give a speech or
or something. But I think probably between the two of us, because I think that's been the main two correspondence points. We can try to nail Mike down and get some things rolling.
Shall we, I just think if this is so big, we think this is so big. September and October.
That's what I said. I said we need multiple.
Or later in September, and then a couple weeks later in October. I just feel that there's just so much information. It's huge for us that have got little bits and pieces to keep track of it all. And I don't fully understand all of it, but I just know there's misunderstandings about stuff completely. And I think we need to get people, everybody needs to get on the same page, and we need to, maybe we focus on mostly the police on one, but there is an aspect that's why it's related to fire, and then more on fire the other one.
And honestly, the other thing that we do need to keep in mind is based on recent discussions and things that have been happening at either flag or council or public safety or whatever, to a certain extent, this is a moving target. So I think if we keep our options open and sort of see what sort of feedback and response we get, I'm not opposed to doing more than one meeting, certainly. But I'm also cognizant that while council might be willing to carve out one day on their usual schedule for something like this, two might be a bigger ask. Not that it isn't needed, but it might be a bigger ask. So anyway, well, we can do the communications with Mike and Mayor offline and go from there.
So just while we're here and everybody's here, I want to make sure that the notes that I've taken are correct, and if there's anything else that we'd like to add. We want to do a town hall open forum, and I think we want to make sure that we're clear about what we want, because looking at the definitions, town halls, open forums, there's no formal speeches or presentations, just open dialogue, sharing addresses, and addressing community ideas, whereas the town hall is more high structure. Either way, whatever we call it, we want it to be some sort of presentation to kind of get the conversation started, and then public comment with a response period, or like, okay, thank you for that comment, here's some more information, continuing it more of like an open forum sort of concept. We want it to be very well publicized in all channels, plus some posters made for us to pick up from City Hall maybe, to grab and go put up in our neighborhoods and parks, etc. We want to focus on the financials, funding, showcasing where we're at with it and why this is, why it's happening and why the decisions are being made to do these things. We lay it out very clearly, including taking back control of our police and fire, which would report to the mayor, is the way I understand it was in the past. They basically report to the mayor. The police chief would report to the mayor. I assume it would be the same. And then potentially showing the structure of the new department, talking about those sorts of things. And then bring it up the idea of maybe we don't have exactly how the funding mechanism works. If one fire levy gets done, then that opens up whatever. But either way, if it's just police or just fire, or if it needs to be interwoven with both, but to keep it simpler, I think is what you mentioned there. And then we'd like to suggest possibly 2 or more meetings, one potentially in mid or late September, and then one at the beginning of October, sometime in October. What else can I add to the list of items that we want to make sure that are represented? If we don't remember them all today, we can still have dialogue back and forth.
I think September is League of Cities too. I don't know what this calendar looks like, because when Mr. Rittman, I was talking to him, he was mentioning a work session that was in October. So I just thinking that that we could possibly be open to the concept of work session, title, whatever, and / open forum. If we don't get the town hall, we still provide an opportunity for people to be on Zoom, come in person. The last police sheriff's presentation to even be open to, the Troutdale Police, that we have sheriffs, was in this room, and it was packed. There was no more than filled it, including the sheriffs might have been standing room only, that did speak, but this space did accommodate that.
Could we,
But push Zoom as well, like when we do advertise, that they can Zoom, and then also that this is recorded so that later on we can let them know that they can go into YouTube and watch what they have missed. If they did not participate in person on Zoom, that they have the option to view.
So
That's just a thought.
Meeting, offer Zoom attendance, and on YouTube.
Which would be standard practice, and that's one of the advantages of actually taking over a slot in the city council's regular calendar, is that all of that planning is already in place. I mean, the recordings are already made, the Zoom links are already there, the, whatever the fellow's name that is back there doing the recordings for,
CTV or whatever.
yeah, whatever the public access channel is, that's all done.
Is the term question and like Q&A, can we call it that? Like, police Q&A, question and answer. You're allowed to ask a question. Open forum is great, but people, could they hear the word Q&A, question and answer? You can ask your questions, you get your answers. And then we're not calling it a town call. We're calling it an open forum, a Q&A, so that people know that they can ask a question and get an answer. But hopefully there would be a presentation that would answer questions that they might have before they have to ask them. And then they could elaborate on that presentation and say, I have a question about this. You know, that term is sticking in my head the whole time we're talking, question and answer. That's an easy way for people to know I'm gonna be able to ask a question and hopefully get an answer.
That's ultimately going to be part of the publicity wording that goes with it. I mean, their main focus is, right now, I think, is just getting a commitment to the event, getting a date. That's really what I want. Good.
And then one more comment for you guys. If it's in email format, I will forward it and do a blind carbon copy on everybody. And that way you can respond to me directly and it's not considered a quorum or a meeting feedback. So either way, when I ask for information, I'll try to do my best to put it in an email and then blind carbon copy everybody so you can all have the info and respond back. And if anybody has any additional context, we can have additional dialogue, but we're not gonna.
That's something this group even needs to worry about?
We have
We have to.
more than before, but show up for
That's why we send out all of our stuff.
Decision-making body of any sort?
more than a few of us get together at First Friday coming up, then it's a quorum, so.
The sixth person makes it a quorum. You gotta always have someone stay a little bit further away.
Perfect Friday?
Just in general, because where there's 11, it's 11-person committee, so.
Because I know that's not a thing for like all public meetings. It's a city thing. It's a city government thing. For the nonprofit that I'm in charge of, I asked legal that question, and it's like, do we need to worry about quorum, outside public meeting quorum? And he said, no. That's a government thing. All right. Well, if we have something resembling clear as mud marching orders on that, let's move right along to staff communications.
Alrighty.
Wait, Adrian,
Any public
Oh,
comment?
sorry. Paul?
wanted to make a couple of comments. First, I think you guys just need to remain neutral on whatever you're putting out there. You shouldn't be lobbying one way or the other for whatever. The other thing I wanted to mention, while you're trying to nail down your dates, I just looked up the cutoff date for a November measure, and it's September 3rd. So that, whether the council puts a fire district or a levy on the ballot, the commitment will be made September 3rd or before. And then the utility fee is scheduled to go up January 1st. So just a couple dates to keep in mind.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, Coda?
Alrighty. So let's see, it's been pretty busy for me the last several months, but it's starting to kind of come down for me personally. So right now, last week, went to City Council for the introduction for the Main Streets on Halsey grant work under case file LU-0007-2026 for the Halsey Gateway overlay. A lot of questions. It was just introduction. Council needs more time to read the information and really go through it. Seemed like some were really well informed. Others needed to read a little bit more information on it. So the mayor asked me to send over some more information. So I'm working on like a 2-pager for them, and then some more information that he specifically requested for everybody in the council. So I'll be sending that stuff hopefully out by the end of next week. And then they continued the meeting to a date certain of the last meeting before they go on break, so July 14th. My hope is that that will be for the adoption and not a date, not a continue of the introduction, just because we have a deadline. But it very well could, in which case then we'll be extending our deadline with the adoption hearing would that be in September. So that's been my main project that I've been working on. We have a couple other ones, some type 2 reviews. We had the one that was just submitted for a new addition going on down on East Columbia River Highway for a single family residence doing an addition, but needs to go through type 2 site development review because it's in the floodplain. So that triggers. Another one that was just submitted and is currently in review is for what they're calling discovery block improvements, basically the vacant lot downtown. If anybody watches Parks and Rec, that's kind of our pit. So we currently have someone coming in. They may eventually develop a structure on site, but right now it's going to be a non-building means, so an active passive recreation area. So landscaping, proposed maybe a food cart pod in the future, who knows. But right now it's going to be either you want to get it opened up, open space, kind of like a park, kind of a passive active space. So that's currently under review as well. We have a pre-app tomorrow that's coming in for new development to go in by the Troutdale Station food carts. It'll be a commercial building kind of on the north end there where there's that gravel lot. So they're coming in for a pre-app on that. I don't have a whole lot of information on that one. Nick's handling it. We didn't really receive a whole lot of information, so there's going to be a lot more questions.
Is that where the overflow parking is right now?
Yes. I can say a lot of things about the overflow parking, but yes, that's in that kind of separate lot there.
They probably didn't ask to turn it into overflow parking.
It's not permitted. Yeah, people know on several occasions. But so that's coming in. There's a potential for a larger commercial style building there with some parking and access coming off of Halsey to the north. Again, not really sure what the uses would be. They just said commercial building, so that'll come out during the pre-application phase. Other than that, we have obviously our grant projects. I spoke on one. Eric has spoke on the other. And then there's some other long-range projects that we will be kicking up in next month, more than likely in July, and then bringing in the Planning Commission. One is reviewing our MU3 standards and just mixed-use standards in general. Just as a whole, we don't have some listed currently for certain zones. So we need to work on that. It's a long-range development code kind of project that we have to update. Same with the sign code update that staff needs to start working on, just cleaning it up. Not going to be doing anything crazy, just cleaning it up. There's some things that could just be adjusted, maybe another definition here or there. And then I think it's August, the project that the Historical Landmarks Commission has been working on with Nick. will be going for a public hearing for the local historical district for Hungry Hill to Planning Commission. But that'll be all the way in August, so still gonna be doing some work on that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Like I had mentioned, I'll be out of town. I'm going to Alaska for a week at the end of, I'm gonna do a little bit of that, a little bit of hiking. At the end of this month and for the first week of July. So I'll be out of town for our meeting. I think there might, I know we had talked, because when we were planning the larger, more kind of in-depth town hall, we didn't want to cancel the meeting weeks. We needed all that we need. So I'm still looking to see if there's a date that we can potentially do a special meeting. If it's going to be the week before we would regularly meet in August, I'm not sure if that would make sense. But also look into that, see if there's a possibility of us having one, and I would reach out to everybody and see if anybody's willing. But yeah, that's everything I have. If there's any specific questions.
Old City Hall, is there still a projected restaurant tour that's going in? Is there an application or?
There isn't an application that I know of right now. They're still slowly building it out. Last I heard, I think I mentioned before, was the brewery at Gresham was interested in it. But that's been a couple of months now. I'm not sure if they're still working through that and working with the developer on that or not. But there was a brewery that was a smaller brewery. I can't remember what it's called.
Mad Cow?
Yeah, Mad Cow.
Okay.
So they were.
I was just wondering because
Yeah.
when the council, some of the council said yes to that, they were advertising like an English brew pub with fresh beer and a good restaurant food. So I'm just, wondering, what might go in there. If that's the
They're still
caliber
building
of.
it out as a brewery.
Okay.
It's still being built out that way. So the hope is, English style, then it was away days, and then there was another maybe cidery that was interested, and now there's another brewery. So it is still being built out as an operating brewery, not as a tap house, but as a brewery, and then with the restaurant or food carts as well.
Okay.
So
And
that's still how it's moving forward that way.
organic coffee shop? How are they coming along?
They're coming along. I think they had a couple questions about some of the public works finding or conditions. So they've been working with Public Works, but they're still moving forward. They have their building permits in. They're under review for the things they have to do inside.
Okay, and then what is the price on the old Rick Caswell Gallery? Do you happen to know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I knew it was over 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Last I checked.
Okay.
I think it's still 2.4. I can look through some emails from just letting us know that was for sale because we might get calls. We always try to keep an eye, but I think it was for 2.4. That's about right.
Okay, so my plug, if there's any wealthy person that wants to buy it, turn it into City Hall and offer public parking, it's, please do so.
Build it
Yeah,
up
we
a
could
little bit, have some
smack your
truck-
name on it,
You
know?
could do
It's,
2 or 3 levels of parking and then build a city hall on top of that.
yeah,
Do all
yeah,
tuck under parking garage style.
yeah, so a good gift for Troutdale, if anybody has that money out there.
Maybe it's got a little bit burden.
A multi-million-dollar tax write-off.
Yeah, I can wish, right?
Yep.
I mean, we all.
Questions for staff? All right, let's roll into committee comments. We'll start online. Kevin?
Thank you. Thank you very much for another lively discussion. Thank you, Adrian, for keeping good control of the meeting. You run a good meeting, and thank you to staff. I'm going to bid everyone a very fond farewell. This is my last meeting of my tenure on this committee. I did not renew. I have got way too much on my plate with the Planning Commission and the Budget Committee and a business and a family life and so on. So I'm not disappearing. I'll still be on a couple of other committees, but I won't be continuing on this one. So anyway, keep up the good fight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin. Will?
Yeah, Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate working with you on this committee for the last several years, and I believe Twyla also is moving on. And I believe that Adrian,
I'm still here.
did you get?
Haven't.
The council has not officially approved the slate yet, but yes, they got reappointed.
As well.
I reapplied, yeah.
And then we've got 2 new ones coming.
That's the next meeting, right? Don't they make
The
those
next council meeting, I think, is when that,
I invited one of the guys to come tonight earlier to come get involved with.
that happens.
But yeah, other than that, meeting, I really like that the concept that we have is being snagged by council and that it is important and we want to take it on. Congratulations to the group for that, and I think we'll do our best to steward that process as best we can and promote it. So, everyone, and the job's not over, and let's keep going.
Victoria?
Thanks to Bill and Adrian for working on this. Hopefully we get lots of meetings.
This month is a busy one for our city with like fun things going on, and as much as I want the citizens to know about the really depressing stuff that they have to make decisions about, I want them to know about the fun stuff, and so I've been working with Marley to make sure flyers go up all over town and that people know about the fun things. So if you guys want to grab any of these before I leave, I have all the flyers in my bag. If you want to post them anywhere or give them to anybody about all the things that are happening. You know, we've got our First Fridays coming up. There's Summerfest on June 20th. There's going to be music on the market on Tuesdays in July and August. We have one movies in the park, hopefully good weather, on the 26th. And then the cruise-in that happens in August. There's all information about that on these. And then also, I just want to shout out the trout route shuttle that's happening this summer. The city got a grant to like help with this, so I'm trying to tell everybody about it. It's an awesome program. It takes care of that parking problem that everybody has, and then it also makes it doable when you don't have 2 vehicles or somebody that wants to drop everybody off and then go back down and has to miss out, or you have to have 2 vehicles. So you can catch the Sasquatch shuttle, buy a ticket down at the outlet mall. It takes you all the way out to Dabney. You get to float to Glen Otto and get out and then catch the bus back to the outlet mall where there's plenty of parking. They have tubes available, so now you don't have to buy a tube and you don't have to pay for parking at Dabney. So it's doable. And it's a great thing for kids to be doing this summer. If they're bored, they can take this. So we finally have a shuttle. You can float the Sandy. So that's there's a big poster. You'll see it in a lot of the downtown businesses. So I'm trying to shout out all those fun things that we have going on this summer. If you want any of the posters, let me know after, because I have them all with me right now. And then I don't think I have anything else. I'm just trying to update the bulletin boards and get my hands on keys for the other ones that exist. I haven't gotten clear answers from the people that I want the keys from, but I know other people that have the keys. So I'm working my magic to get my information to all the bulletin boards that we have so that they're updated and the meetings are listed, because again, this month I updated all of them. So as soon as we can find out when we want people to know what's going on, I will make sure it's all over where it can be not online, in person. So if I have to write it in Sidewalk Chalk, I'll write it in Sidewalk Chalk. Just tell me when.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Chris?
Well, I guess first, Kevin, I'll say thank you. It's been good working with you on the committee. Hope to see you around. Also, I guess I just want to apologize to all of you because I was kind of out of it for a chunk of the meeting, so I'm sorry for that. I'll focus better next time. Just got a lot going on that's not related to this. And I guess I'll just say thank you all for another meeting, and I'll look forward to seeing you at the next.
Shelby?
Thank you all for looking forward to us communicating this very important information to our citizens. They can get involved in affecting what we're going to be doing. So thank you all.
Okay, thank you to Will and Adrian and Dakota for facilitating the next steps, just because we're a little bit confused, or just like more information. We just want to make sure it's there for the people to at least be able to ask and then to learn and to participate. So that's extremely important. It's been for the last time we shifted police to sheriff, and we don't know what's going to happen, but I've been advocating at the meetings I've been going to. I just want to hear from everybody and hear all sides and just have more understanding. That's really important to me. I will say I'm concerned about the shuttle, and only because for the tubing, because I'm slow. It's like I live on the water and I didn't even think about it. The temperatures lately have been below 60 degrees. If you look at the different categories of the water temperature of the Sandy, 60 and under, I believe, is dangerous. And so if you fall in the water, you will be gasping for breath, and certain things happen. And then once you hit 60 to 70 and 70 to 80, and then when I was reading more about it this last week, because I'm concerned, because I'm looking out there, people are in the water, and I'm realizing I never have gone tubing unless it's a super stinking hot day in August when it hits over 90s. It's been that way for a number of days without the snow melting and it looking like a beer, like frothy beer. So that got me concerned, like, ooh, ouch, when can you go in? Because anyway, so I'm going to be interested to see how this turns out, if people are actually taking the shuttle. I mean, I want success, but I want safety too. Also, the river is flowing unfortunately, it's flowing at July levels. So that means the water's low. The water's low, and it's a little bit more precarious because instead of having that current and then you get a flow down it, there's going to be a lot of areas where you have 1 foot, you have a couple of inches, and then, there's just more opportunity to like slip off, which I have done many a times. And then you're, getting your tube, and then you're walking along, and then if the water is cold, I'm just saying we're a glacier-fed river, and so I'm sure data will be occurred. I pray for safety for all that, are doing this.
There's life jackets provided with this as well, and so that's an extra safety feature that a lot of
It is, but it's still freezing. I always wear the jacket too, and I'm saying below 61 people. I looked up Olympic swimmers, what temperature do they swim, pools, etc. There's just some interesting data that didn't click for me till I'm looking down there and seeing people try to swim, or a man catches breath that's sitting there and the paramedics come. That was a few weeks ago. So I'm just saying, be cautious, about the Sandy River and the temperature. Be prepared. Have your tennis shoes on, if you're trying to do this. And again, we're going to get good data, and I'm, wanting things to go well. And I love that there's a new opportunity for recreation for people to enjoy the Sandy River in a different way. So I'm excited about that, but I'm cautioning just to be prepared, very prepared. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sort of disappointed to hear that the river is that low, because that means I'd probably, if I was going to personally float down, I'd be hauling my canoe up to Dabney, but I'm not sure there's enough water in there to float my boat. But anywho, good meeting, everybody. Thank you, Kevin, for the tenure. This Saturday afternoon, so is the June game day next door at the CCS building, so 1 to 6 p.m. Come play games. I'll be there with a pile of them.
It's a good day for it because it's rainy. It's supposed to be rainy on Saturday, so
Joy.
maybe.
But anyway, so we're going to be doing that. I haven't gotten the fall schedule nailed down quite yet, but that should be going out in the fall Parks and Rec guide whenever that shows up. So I guess with that, we'll take a motion.
Motion we adjourn.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bye,
Opposed?
Shannon.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.